New legislation is being discussed at the State House that, if passed, could move people who struggle with mental illness from jails and into treatment. Here to talk about the bill she introduced is Ohio Republican Senator Teresa Gavarone. She represents Erie, Ottawa, and Wood counties and parts of Fulton and Lucas counties. Senator, thanks so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me here.
We appreciate it. You really got this conversation started last year with a House bill. Now we have the Senate Bill 58. What happened last year, and what led you into this?
Thank you for asking that question. Actually, the head of our Adamus board in Wood County, Tom Clemens, really wanted to start the conversation. He told me about the need for competency evaluation and restoration reform when it comes to nonviolent misdemeanor offenders. Mm-hmm. What's happening is nonviolent offenders are not a risk of harm to themselves or others, and if there's a question whether they're competent to stand trial, then they're performing the evaluation restoration in the state hospitals. Our state hospitals were really intended for the most serious of serious mentally ill. So these facilities have security, forced medication, but our nonviolent misdemeanor offenders are spending that time really working on competency to stand trial and not really getting the resources and the help they need. So the idea is to look at the way we're performing the evaluations and restorations, because misdemeanor offender could be spending 30, 60 days taking up a state hospital bed when maybe they could be better served in a community-based facility.
Your contention is that a nonviolent offender who has a mental illness is actually, it works counter to what we're trying to achieve by putting them into a jail or a hospital facility.
Right. When they may be better served in a community-based facility or in outpatient treatment.
Would they oftentimes even come out worser?
Absolutely. I'm told a lot of times their time spent in that mental hospital is watching Law and Order and TV shows to help prepare for a trial. And for these low-level offenders, sometimes the length of their maximum sentence for the underlying crime could be much shorter. It's not long enough.
So now you're going to tackle this. Is it bipartisan, or are there those against?
I've gotten a lot of support. I don't know of anyone really against it. But we're still in the process of finalizing the language. But I'm currently working with the National Alliance of the Mentally Ill, as well as former Supreme Court Justice Evelyn Stratton. And we're working on, it's a comprehensive piece of legislation that really looks at what we're doing. We have limited resources. We have limited hospital beds. And if these hospital beds are being taken up by people who don't really need to be in a state hospital, who would actually be better served in a community-based facility or with outpatient treatment, then we need to make sure we're using those resources in a more beneficial way so that the people who need those beds have access to those beds, and the people who are better served with other resources are able to utilize those resources to get better. The ultimate goal is to get people connected to help and get people the help they need. So if we can look at the way we're doing things and better allocate our resources, I think we're going to be better off. And we need more beds right now. There are waiting lists. And
you don't need people in the beds that shouldn't be there.
And are we going to be adding new wings to accommodate these people, or can we look at the way we're utilizing the resources we have now?
You mentioned Supreme Court Justice Evelyn Stratton. There's the Step Up initiative of what she's involved with. Mm-hmm. You are as well. Is that all part of the effort? How many different groups and your counterparts are involved with this?
Absolutely. And again, it's an ongoing conversation. The Stepping Up group, Wood County is going to be joining that group, and they're having their first meeting in June next month. So I'm really looking forward to watching Wood County become a part of this and going through the process.
Other than this specific legislation which you're proposing, which involves the incarceration part of it, is there some specific things that Ohio can do just to improve mental illness?
Well, access to care, I think, is huge. When someone's in crisis, when someone has a problem and needs help, they need help now. And we have a shortage of psychiatrists, and if we can connect people to those resources, make sure that someone who needs help can get help. I knew someone in Wood County who needed to get into a psychiatrist, and there was a 3-week wait. And I'm told in some parts of the state it can take up to 3 months to see a psychiatrist, sometimes even more. And when you need a prescription, when you need more than counseling or a psychologist can provide, and you need that psychiatric care, we need to make sure that that's available and people are getting the help they need.
You mentioned Wood County in your own district. Are you seeing examples there, or are there parts of the state that this is affecting more than other, whether it's suburban versus urban, or different parts of the state geographically?
Well, I've been told there are pockets in even the urban districts
Right.
where people don't have access, where doctors haven't set up shop, but certainly also the rural areas. But Wood County has actually done a really good job through the Adamus board, connecting people to resources, but sometimes you just can't get in a timely manner. But our Adamus boards are doing a really good job when people reach out.
Senator, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, still ahead on In Focus, breaking down the barriers and social stigma related to mental health. That's next.